everyone, and welcome to Motivational Talk Dialogues and Show. Yes, it is a Monday, and I am on. Yes, but I had to bring forth this powerhouse on today to tell her phenomenal story as motivation for our Motivational Monday, which I normally do, but we're going to let Miss Tia do it today. But for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Lacole Smith, and I am the CEO and founder of Motivational Talk Dialogues and Show. Tia, thank you for being my guest today. I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me, Nicole. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, we've
It's a
been
pleasure and honor.
I've been trying to get her on for a while, but the devil was trying to keep her off of this show. That's because she have a message that somebody needs to hear,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't give up. We didn't give in. And we are here, and she's going to be able to tell her story, and she's going to touch so many souls. So, Tia, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you tell everybody, who you are, where you live, those kind of things, and then we'll get into it.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, everyone, my name is Tia Tillman, and I reside in Atlanta, Georgia currently. I'm originally a native of upstate New York, Hudson, New York. Many people aren't familiar with upstate New York, but I just kind of tell them maybe Albany, New York, which is the capital of New York. I've been in Atlanta now since 2011, and my my journey has been real, really real. And what my podcast, Healing is Power, speaks about is um, hearing other people's stories, as we all have a story. And we've all had to heal from some type of trauma at some point in our lives. So what I do with my guests is I bring them on and they speak about their story and their definition of healing, because we all have a different definition of healing and what we've gone through. So that's kind of what I do to motivate other people out there to heal and to let other people know that it's okay and that you are not the only one that has gone through things, and that healing is so important because a lot of people don't have an outlet or even know how to let go of trauma and hurt. And that's where you get drug usage, you get alcohol, you get people taking their lives, whatnot. So that's what I do. That's what I speak on. And I just pray that I can touch as many souls out there as I can. I feel like that's what God has called me to do. um as a excuse me, as a little girl, I always wanted to do radio and television, and I actually got accepted into Hudson Valley Community College when I had graduated high school, but I didn't pursue it because you're being young, 18, 19, you're all over the place, and I wasn't focused. But I knew from a little girl that I wanted to do radio and talk. But I didn't understand what purpose that I was supposed to bring with that, what I wanted to do, if that makes sense. Like, I knew I wanted to do radio, but I didn't know that God wanted me to do radio to heal people and help heal people and hear people's stories to enlighten others, if that makes sense.
It does. And we've communicated before and said how much our stories are similar
Mm-hmm.
in the things that we've been through and the things that we do. And I'm kind of the same way. And I made a post just the other day that said, this is the smile that you have when you know that you basically are walking in your purpose and you
Mm-hmm.
find exactly what it is that God wants you to do, and it it puts you at peace.
Mm-hmm.
It makes your heart smile.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say thank you for helping people heal. I want to say thank you for helping people get through telling their trauma, because sometimes they never tell it, and their trauma is going to help somebody else heal. So I appreciate you having your platform for
Mm-hmm.
healing. Even that day that I was interviewed on your show, the you could feel God coming through, you talking to me and us having that conversation and going back and forth.
Mhm.
You can feel that you're sincere with helping people to heal, and that's something that you want, and that's your purpose.
Mhm.
And I know you say you recently found your purpose, but you this has been planning in you for years and
Yes.
years,
Mhm.
and now you're walking in that purpose. So, how does that walk feel now that you know that this is really your purpose?
It's a beautiful beautiful thing. And just for your listeners out there, I have horrible anxiety, social anxiety. And for someone to have social anxiety and be able to get on a platform and speak to millions of people, because my platform has touched over in other countries as well. And I found that out not too long ago.
Amen.
So I am greatly honored for that. But for someone that has social anxiety the way I do, I thank God for giving me the strength to do it, because I am I get so nervous around people, and I've always been so shy my whole life. So I just thank God for him helping me get over that. And I don't think it's something you ever really get over, but you learn how to fight through it, if that makes
You
sense.
do. You do. And I'm glad that, in his presence, he allows you to do what you need to do.
Hmm.
And that just shows that this is really what you're supposed to be doing
Hmm.
because of the fact that you have social anxiety. It's definitely something that he has placed in your heart and in your spirit to do.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad that you decided to walk in your purpose.
Thank
But
you.
I'm about to turn it over so that you can tell your story that
Hmm.
we actually brought you on for.
Hmm.
And if I have any questions, I'll ask them at the end once you kind of wrap it up with your story. Because
Okay.
I want you to elaborate on it so that they can tell the power of God and everything that happened with you. Because
Hmm.
I haven't heard the story in full. I heard
Hmm.
snippets,
Hmm.
but I'm ready for to hear the story in full. I'm finna sit back and I'm finna listen and take this in and
Okay.
appreciate what God has given to you. So I'm gonna
Thank you.
give the floor to you. Tell your story.
All right. Well, I have so many testimonies. I mean, if I tell you all my testimonies, we'll be here from now to probably the next day. But I am going to tell two testimonies that happened in my life. Um, well, it's really three, but it kind of one of them kind of connects into one. But I would say the death of my parents was big for me, especially my mom. Um, August 25th of 2010, I lost my mom. She passed away from throat cancer, or larynx cancer. And my eldest daughter at that time, she was two, just a little over two. So I'm dealing with having to go see her in a nursing home. I wanted to be her caregiver, which hurt me, but she was so far gone and sick. It was she became septic, renal failure. Just basically her body was shutting down. So there wasn't anything medically I could do. She had to be in, medical care, if that makes sense. So dealing with a 2 year old, we all know how 2 year olds can be busybodies, that's just normal. And, dealing with her sickness and other challenges in between. I give all praises to God for helping me get through that, because that was a very trying time, and I was only 24 at that time. It's almost, this August 25th will be 15 years since she's been gone. So that's close to 20 years. So, being a young 24-year-old, trying to balance out motherhood and deal with your mother, who is going to be leaving this world at some point soon. You just don't know when. That was hard. And um, when she passed, I was asking myself, like, years later, like, Lord, how did I get through this? Like, how did I, because, I was her only child. And with her, I was a miracle baby because she was almost 40 when she had me. And she had had several miscarriages before me. So she had gave up on, motherhood. So I was a blessing to her. And like my whole life, it was just me and her. So, and I watched her transition. Her nurse called me. And, with HIPAA law, medical law, you can't really say what's going on over the phone. But she called me. She says, Tia, I can't say much over the phone, but I am concerned and you need to get up here with your mom. Like, and I knew when she said that, it was just going to be hours beforehand. They had put her on dialysis, and she had one of those little warm blanket things on her to keep her warm because her temperature was dropping. So I went up there and I was talking to her. And mind you, again, I'm only 24 years old. This is a lot. I'm still young, still trying to figure out life. And she was weak in the voice. I couldn't really understand what she was saying. But one thing she said to me that sticks to me to this day. And she says, Tia, you know who your friends are when you're down and out. And it was just clear as day. And now that I think back on it, I can say that it's kind of like they say, like before you leave this world, it's like your life kind of like flashes before you. So I think it was just kind of like she was just going back over everything good, bad, happy that happened in her life. And she wanted to give that to me. Then she says to me, she says, Tia, I'm going to sleep. I thought she was just taking a nap. I just thought she, was going to take a nap. So I said, okay, well, she's going to go to sleep. I'll go back to, I was staying at her house at that time. I was back home. And so nurse calls me again a couple hours later, around 4 o'clock. Now, mind you, I had called my father and I told him, I said, I don't think my mom is going to make it. I don't know if she's going to be the day tomorrow. I don't know, but you can see death. Unfortunately, you can see it. So I called him, and him and my one of my older sisters, Rita, came down, and it was crazy because they had got to the hospital, and I had came back to the house, and like I said, her nurse called me again. She said, Tia, get up here, and she was like, we asked your mom, if she would have stopped breathing, would she want to be resuscitated? And at first, the nurse said, she said yes, she wanted to be resuscitated, but then I guess her blood pressure kept dropping and dropping. She was just slowly leaving. So then the nurse said, she asked her again, if you stop breathing, do you want to be resuscitated? My mother said no the second time. So the nurse asked me, she said, well, what do you want to do? You're her only child. What do you want to do? And I said, respect her wishes. Don't resuscitate her. And I got up to the hospital, and it was crazy because right before I was getting ready to walk out the door, my older sister walked in. My one of my dad's kids walked in. My older sibling, and she said, big sis is here. It's okay. And she grabbed and hugged me, and she was kind of tearing up too. So we rode up to the hospital, and walked in the room. She was in ICU, and it was so beautiful because I don't know, she had to have done it, but she had like it was a white towel, but she had it draped over her head, like kind of like in this way, like a white towel. And it was like she was looking out in space. It was so weird. It was like her eyes was focused on something, like she was looking up. And I could tell she was, slowly going. And I held her hand and I said, it's okay. We're gonna be all right. I'm sorry if I get emotional. I said, it's gonna be okay. Um, if you're tired, you can go on. It's okay. And me and Maya are going to be okay. Probably within a few seconds, she was gone. I watched her transition. So,
Take your time. You know, it's emotional, and I know how you feel. So take your time. Take as much time as you need. You
and
know,
that was hard. But I thank God for giving me that last moment with her. So I tell anybody out there, no matter what you're going through, just trust God. That was a trying time. And then, I left New York and I moved down here to Atlanta, well, Georgia. And from, I'd say, 2010 to 2017, it was a roller coaster ride. Unstable everywhere. you know, got kids just everywhere, staying with family, staying with friends, just everywhere. But, July of 2017, I got myself together and I've been stable ever since. Praise God. But, you just have to. One thing I've learned is that you can't trust in man. You have to trust in God. You have to let Him guide you. You have to let Him guide you. You cannot trust in man. And that was my issue. I was here, there. Oh, come stay here. Okay. No, 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 no. God's like, no. I need you to focus and follow me. Let me guide you. Take my hand and let me guide you. And I promise you, since then, I've been good. I've been good. So, um, anybody that's, lost a loved one, mother, father, um, it's it's not an easy transition, but I guess what gives me peace is that her and my father are not suffering anymore. And it was the situation with my dad was kind of the same way. They kind of left in the same way. It was a little bit different. I had my siblings there, more so with me with that. It was hard for all of us. He left here because of cardiac arrest. Um, but he was a blessed 81 years old, and my mother was kind of younger. She was 62. Um, but with my dad, it was that was a hard pill to swallow. But I think with him, I was a little bit more stronger, and I was more prepared. If that makes sense, because I had already went through it with one parent. So I think going through that made me stronger when he transitioned. And March 4th, which the 14th of this month will be 9 years. Yeah, 9 years. No, wait. He died in 2016. We're in 2025. Yeah, 9 years. Yeah, it'll be 9 years for him. So, healing from that has been challenging too. But again, you have to give it to God, let Him heal you and get into scripture, meditate on His word, you know. But my my second testimony that I really want to share happened about close to 2 years ago. Um and I know many people have faced this, but the way that it happened, it was nothing but God, and I just fell to the floor screaming in joy because I was like, and it was one of those things where it was like at the last hour, really one of those last minute things. In blind faith, I didn't know which way help was coming, what was going to happen, but I had to trust Him. So October of 2023, I was facing an eviction, and my hours and stuff at my job had got cut, and I was reaching out for resources, and again, it was another one of those situations where it's like God's like, you cannot trust in man, you have to trust in me. You put too much faith in man, a lot of times man will fail you. And it was one resource that I had found, and they did not come through. So I was facing an eviction, and I held it back, and I just dealt with it, and I said, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to get through this. And it had got down to the last week, and I'm trying to find a place to go. And probably I'd say maybe 2 days before, um, you know, that was going to take place, I found a place, but I was trying to come up with the funds and everything to move, and I had the funds for the place, but I was trying to find a way to get moved and everything, and it was hard because everybody knows moving is extremely hard. But I was like, well, darn, I have the money for the. I'm like, well, I can't rob Peter to pay Paul, because if I take away from the moving to move the money to move in, I'm not going to be able to move. So a friend of mine, a good blessing came through, and she was able to help with that. And then I think she had some difficulties trying to find, that she went through like a moving company, and it was a little bit difficult with that, but we made it happen. And we moved out of that apartment 8 hours, literally 8 hours before um, the eviction people were going to come out. We moved out 12 o'clock a.m., and they were coming out 8 a.m. to put our stuff out. When I tell you that was the last hour, and we got up out of there. And that is one of my biggest testimonies. That was trusting God at the very last moment. And because I'm like, if we can't get moved out of here, whatever happens, we're on the street. So no matter what you're facing, trust God. Trust God. The healing process, when I'm still healing, but I love to hear others' testimonies, their healing journey, because it's therapeutic to me. It helps me. And that's very powerful. Healing is power. It takes a
Yes.
lot. It takes a lot of power to heal, especially in this type of world that we live in today. People are heartless, people don't care, everybody's for self, you know. So that's my biggest message, no matter what you're facing, you know, trust God. Because he
Mhm.
has that situation could have went so many other ways. And when I tell you, when we moved out of there and we got, moved in and everything like that, I just fell to the floor screaming for joy, you know. So that's two of my biggest stories right there.
Amen. Um, that's that's really truly walking in faith.
Blind
Walking in
faith. That's blind faith because you don't know.
faith. Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
Like you say, so many times we put our faith in man,
Yeah.
put our faith in others, and they let us down.
Hmm.
And then we're upset and we're mad with them. But why? When we
Yeah.
already know not to put your faith trust in man.
Hmm.
Um, and I had to. That was one of the things that I had to learn. That was a lesson that I had to learn. A lesson that I'm still learning.
Hmm.
Um, that I can't get mad because someone doesn't show up like I show up.
Everybody
I
doesn't
can't.
have the same heart as you.
I can't. I can't get mad um if I'm always there for them and I'm always showing up and then they don't show up for me. I can't be mad at that because it's already said that this will happen. So as long as I show up for myself and I show up for what God wants me to do, I think everything is gonna pan out the way that it needs to pan out. No matter who, you thought was gonna show up for you. He's
Mhm.
gonna put who he wants in those seats, in that
Mhm.
platform, in that area where you need it to be the most.
Mhm.
Um, and like I say, our stories are so similar. You
Mhm.
know, your dad and my mom passed a day apart.
Huh?
Um,
Really?
he passed March the 15th of 2016. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow.
And it'll be 9 years on the 15th. And we just made it through the anniversary of my dad passing February the 16th. It made 2 years for him. His birthday was Saturday, and tomorrow will make 2 years since we actually buried him.
Wow.
So, um, I understand the pain, the hurt, um, the emotions that go along with it.
Mhm.
Um, as you were telling your story, I was basically fighting back tears because I know how you feel. I know how you
Yeah.
feel. You know, the only difference is I wasn't there when my mom or my dad took their last breath, but
Yeah. I
it
with
it
my
doesn't it doesn't matter if
yeah.
that I was there or not. That loss is still, you
Yeah.
know, I feel for people that actually see it and
Yeah. I
and
saw my
bear it.
mother. Yeah, I saw my mother like take that and I seen her monitor go flatline. It was crazy because my dad was there, and
Wow.
they hadn't been together in years, but they remained friends and cordial, and co-parented with me. And he didn't, I guess because it happened so fast, he didn't realize that she had died that fast. So the nurse, she came in closing the curtain, unhooking everything, and he was like, "What's going on?" And the nurse was like, "She's gone." And we had I think my mother's friend, Miss Jackie was there, my sister, and my dad, and I forgot who had to hold him up, but he almost fainted.
Oh wow.
He almost fainted. Because it had literally happened so fast. As soon as I said it was okay and I held her hand, she just let go. So it was like she was waiting for me.
To let her know that it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now with my father, I didn't see him take his last breath. I actually had came back to Atlanta. Um,
Okay.
but I let them know. I said, if anything changes, let me know. I'll come back up here because I didn't know how long it was going to be. But I think it
Yeah.
was like maybe literally 2 days. And I wish I would have just went ahead and stayed up there. Within 2 days, my one of my other older sisters called me and said, "Daddy's gone." It was like 6 o'clock that morning. She said he's gone, and I just almost passed out. And another situation too when like with my dad it was hard, but not only was I dealing with him getting ready to transition during that time, I was actually and I can tell this now, I'm not embarrassed about it because it's part of my story, and it helped make me stronger, and it helped me make me who I am today, tough as a nail. As
Right.
much as I can be. So I still have my little sensitive moments, my little mushy moments, but I definitely feel like I have strengthened in myself. I was dealing with um, some court things, dealing with my eldest and her father. I was dealing with custody issues at that time. So I'm having to be on call with that while dealing with my father in ICU. And that was not a that was a very ugly time.
Yeah.
But once again, I thank God for that, for his comfort during that time, because I really wanted to just give up. I'm
Yeah.
like, Lord, how much more can you put on me? My father's dying. I'm fighting. I'm at odds with my child's father. What more are you going to put on me? But I know they say he doesn't put any more on you than what you can bear. But I'm like, okay, Lord, this is a bit much. you know,
Right.
this is a bit
Right.
much, but it was to strengthen me.
Yeah.
It was to strengthen me. So,
Yeah. Um, that within itself had to be very emotional. You know,
hmm
you're fighting for your father, you're fighting for your children,
hmm
and you're fighting for yourself all at the same time. That's a
hmm
lot,
that
you know.
is.
And like you said, it made you stronger. Um, and somebody's gonna resonate with it, you know. So, what would you tell someone that's going through that now? Since you've been through it and you're overcome it, what would you tell that person now?
I would tell them to pray because at that time, I'm not saying that I didn't believe in God and I didn't have faith, but my faith and belief in God is was nowhere near what it is today. I would tell them to pray. Um, Read Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd. Um,
Mhm.
Ephesians 6 through 10. Put on the full armor of God.
Yeah,
Um, because during that, in 2010, 2016, I really had to put on the full armor of God. From 2010 to 2017, 7 years, I really had to put on the full armor of God. So I
yeah,
definitely would tell them pray and get those two scriptures and read it. And if I need to, if anybody can resonate with this, with my story, I will, put it down in the comments below. Ephesians 6 through 10 and Psalms 23.
yeah.
I definitely would tell them to trust him and pray, meditate in his word.
Mhm, mhm. And these are two really, really powerful stories. So, you have these testimonies. You
hmm
have you have your platform, what you're the host of Healing is Power.
hmm
But you wear another hat too. So can you tell us about that other hat that you wear as an author?
As a what now?
As an author.
As an author?
Hmm.
Well,
Oh, oh, it's coming.
it's okay. I'm gonna wait. I'm thrown off a little bit. I'm sorry.
It's coming. It's coming. You haven't done it yet, but it's coming.
Well, I as a little girl, I love to write. I did. I love to write. Um, when I was in elementary school, I wasn't going to tell this, but you know what? You kind of you picked it. I love to write, and when I was in elementary school, every year it would be between our computer teacher. It was mostly our computer teacher, Miss Brown. I don't know if that lady's still teaching or not. I think the last time I heard about her, she was a principal in
Oh my
Claverack.
goodness.
Yeah, she was a
Okay.
principal. She went from being a computer teacher to a principal, I think in Claverack, New York, in elementary school, I think. But um, we would do a write, stories every year, and I won every year. I remember two books that I wrote as a little girl. One was called Sheba and Hopper. It was about a bunny and a rabbit that were best friends. And then I wrote another book. It was called My Worst Family Reunion. And I remember Miss Brown meeting with my mother one day because they had to have parent teacher conferences with all the teachers.
Right.
She says, your daughter, and I was like 6 or 7 years old at that time. She says, your daughter has a talent on her. And I just love to write and I love to read. And besides wanting to do radio and all that, like I used to have my little Fisher Price radio, and I would pretend like I was a little DJ and stuff like that, like playing songs and stuff on. It
Okay.
was crazy. Yeah, I loved it, and as I got older, I don't think I would say I lost touch with it. I just didn't use it. I didn't use it. But when COVID hit in 2020, I said, you know what? It's just something came over my spirit. I said, I'm gonna start doing something with this, and it came to me. Healing is power. And I think another thing that inspired me to put Healing as Power together is I have met a lot of young women that didn't have their mother coming up. Their mothers didn't raise them, and that's very scarring for a young lady. And that's definitely something that I feel like women that didn't have their mothers growing up, they really can heal from. And I wanted to actually do a podcast, just a session with just a group of women. It don't even have to be a certain age, but they can just get on and talk about, their experience of not having a mother and what that's done to them, and their healing journey with that. I would love to do that.
Yeah, that's something that's amazing. And I'm actually surprised at how many young, like teenage young kids lost their mom early in their life.
Mhm.
Some of them lost them in elementary school, some in middle school, some in high school,
Mhm.
and they basically have to fend for themselves because everybody doesn't have that system that was in
Mhm.
place that your mom have in place
Mhm.
for you. You know, I'm not gonna say that other people can't love you or treat you like your mother, but
You only
sometimes
get one mom.
they don't receive it. They don't get that
Yeah.
from everybody, you know,
Yeah.
um, and that's hard. So to have someone that they can relate to, they can
Mhm.
talk to them, and they're on this platform together, I think that'll be very beautiful
Yeah.
because then they'll know that they're not alone.
Mm.
They're not alone with it.
Yeah. I mean,
So
even with yeah, even with me, even though I was 24, I was grown. That's still young to lose your
yeah,
parent. That's still young. It's not. I mean, it's not teenage young, thank God, but you
yeah,
know, that's still young.
yeah, definitely. It's a process. You
Hmm.
know, I know you said your mom was 62. My mom was 61 when she passed. Um,
Oh wow.
and I was 40 at the time, but it's still, well, actually, I was 41. I think. 40,
Yeah.
41, whatever. Um, when she passed.
Hmm.
But, you still feel like at that moment, it's almost like you go back to that little girl
Hmm.
sitting by your mom or standing by your mom or around your mom, you know, wishing that they can hold you, hug you, pick you up, something.
Hmm.
That's the
Oh yeah.
emotion that you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, me and my mother, we spent a lot of time in the kitchen. She loved to cook. So that's how I learned how to cook a lot of stuff. I'm a cooker. I stay in the kitchen. As you see, I'm in the kitchen. This is my favorite place to be. I'm kind of, sort of, but yeah. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and, she loved music. And she was also a woman of God, too. You know, um, she taught me scripture. My grandmother, Miss Louise, she she was a woman of God too. So it generation after generation, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
um she planted the seed right, you know. I went astray a little bit, but she planted the seed right. So I thank God that I had a mother like her. My father was also he was a deacon in the church, and he was also a gospel singer.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a gospel singer. So
And, and once you have that seed planted, you know, I think everybody at some point, even if you don't make a big detour,
mhm.
at some point, I think everybody goes astray because if you don't learn the lessons that you need to learn.
Yeah.
Some people don't fully turn away from it,
Mhm.
but they might take a step back, or they might
Mhm.
question God, or they might feel like, you know, everything is not going right, everything is not the way that they want it to go.
Mhm.
So at some point, everybody has that, that urge or that doubt or that stray away
Hmm.
from God.
Yeah.
But when that seed is planted, especially when it's planted young, um, you will return to Him.
Yeah.
And if you return to Him, He will not fail you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people be like, they feel like God turned their back. No, it wasn't Him. It
Yeah.
wasn't Him at all. He's always there with us. It's always us. Um, and until we learn that and walk in it, like you say, 8 hours. You literally had 8 hours before they was gonna come and put your stuff out. But yeah, God came in.
Yeah.
He showed up because He was like, "Okay, now I'm gonna let you know. Depend on me. Lean
Yeah.
on me. I
And
have
I,
you." You
yep.
know.
And I had a friend of mine I was talking to. Me and this person, unfortunately, don't speak anymore. That was a decision on their part, and that's fine. But I thank this person for telling me. I told them what was going on, and this person kept telling me they were like uh pray over your house, Ephesians 6 through 10. Put on the
Mhm.
full armor of God. When I was going through this, he says it's going to protect your house from them coming, sending your stuff out sooner. And see, God gave me, He gave me more time to try to figure out a place as well, because they were supposed to been came out. See, that's another part of the testimony. He
Amen.
gave me more time. He gave me almost just a little, probably a few more weeks than would normally would have happened, in the courts and stuff like that. But I kept praying Ephesians 6 through 10 over my house,
Yeah,
and it was nothing but divine protection.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So, I know you have your platform, Healing is Power.
Hmm.
So, give us the information for if someone wants to be a guest on your show. What do they need to do? How can they get in touch with you? All those good things.
So you guys, anybody that would love to be a part of Healing is Power podcast platform, you can email me personally. My email is healingispower86@gmail.com. Um, you can email me there and just say, hey, I would love to, be on your platform, and I'll send you my Canly link, and you can set up a time where we can do a meet and greet before the interview, just so I can get to know who you are, you can get to know who I am, and then we can, set up an interview. And I'm on
Definitely.
YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Healing is Power. I'm on the following platforms. I'm on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, iHeartMusic, and I currently got on Linktree, I think it's called. You can find me on there as well. I'm on Twitter, now known as X. I don't know why they call it X now, but I'm actually on Twitter. Healing is Power. You guys can message me on there too, and I will. I can send the links where you guys can find me.
Yes, definitely. We'll make sure that we get those links in the comments up under the actual live so that they can reach out to you, connect with you. I do have some ladies that I will be sending to tell their story on your platform because they have some beautiful stories as well.
Okay.
I will be sending them over so that you can interview them too.
Hmm.
Uh, is there anything inspirational or anything that's on your heart that you want to share before we leave today?
Absolutely. Do not give up under no circumstances. Don't you give up. Don't you fold. Don't you fold. Give it to God. Let Him, the battle is not yours, it is His. Don't you give up. Don't you fold. You know, don't. People may have seen me, maybe weak, maybe upset, maybe depressed, sad, whatever the case may be, but they never seen me fold.
Amen.
I've been a fighter since I got here. I was born a whole month early. I was due August 22nd, came July 22nd. I had to stay in the hospital for a few days. I had Janus. I was just barely 4 pounds. So when I tell you the enemy has been after me since I got here, But I, even as a newborn, not knowing nothing about this world, I never folded.
Yeah,
I've been a
right.
fighter ever since. So, and it's not going to stop now. So, that's what I would tell people: do not fold.
Amen. Definitely.
Hmm.
Your story is so inspirational. And there are some other stories that you have. We do have another story in common that we talked about as well,
Hmm.
but I'll wait till the next time you're on for us to talk about that story.
Okay.
Which was your accident that you had.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was, well.
definitely.
I can. I mean, if you don't mind, it's. I survived it, but I can tell it
If you
pretty
want to tell it
fast.
now, you can tell it now.
So it was 2009. I don't think my eldest daughter. I don't think she was quite a year old. I was actually coming from the hospital, seeing my mother. She was getting a blood transfusion. You know, she we and low blood count runs in our family for whatever reason. I don't know, but I was coming from the hospital, seeing her, and hospital wasn't far from where I lived, so I was on foot, and I was getting ready to cross the street. I was on 4th Street in Hudson, and I was getting ready to cross the street. I was in the pedestrian lane, and this big red pickup truck. Thank God they weren't going fast. Hit me and caused a deep contusion in my left hip. Thank God I was by myself, because if I had my baby with me, who is now a blessed 16 years old, she would have got it, even though he wasn't going fast. But it knocked me over. And I was out of work for about probably a month and a half, but I survived it. So, yeah. And it's just crazy coming from the hospital, seeing your mom. You end up going back in the hospital. Then she's already sick in the hospital. They got to tell you, oh, your daughter just got hit by a car, and she's like, what? You know, in her mind, she
I
probably
can
thinking I'm dead or
imagine.
something. Jesus Christ. Yeah,
I can imagine how that went. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. You know,
yeah,
um, with her lying in the hospital and somebody have to tell her that. I know how many emotions she probably went through in that moment,
yeah.
not knowing, you know,
Hmm.
just not knowing.
Yeah.
So,
So,
um, definitely appreciate you coming on. I
well, no
appreciate you
problem.
sharing your testimonies with the platform.
Hmm.
We definitely will connect again. Um,
Absolutely. Thank you.
because you know, healing is power, and this is something that we definitely need in these days and times,
Yes,
because so many people are hurting in silence.
they
And
are.
if we give them the opportunity to tell their story, to release that, then it's a lot of things that can happen in their lives. A
Hmm.
lot of things that we can help them with in their lives because of the fact that we allow them to release. You know, so many people are having those mental challenges because they're not able to release what done happened to them. They're
Yeah.
holding on to them. They're not letting go of it.
Right.
They're staying stuck because they feel like nobody else relates to them, or they're scared to tell their stories.
Right.
And it's platforms like yours and mine and other people that are putting their platforms out there for the healing of people
Hmm.
that is necessary. So
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for having your platform so that
You're
people
welcome.
can heal.
It's
And
it's it's an honor.
I'm grateful that God chose you for that platform because nobody could have done it like you did.
Well,
You
thank
know,
you. Thank
so
you. Thank you
it's
so
greatly
much.
appreciated. It's greatly
Thank you. Same with you. You can help people. We can help people. That's what the world needs. Definitely.
definitely, definitely.
Because there's so
I'm
much
so
wicked.
glad that you go ahead.
It's so much wicked out here. It's insane, and it's only gonna
Yeah,
get worse.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Now, I had a post on my feed the other day that all they said was Lord help us. And
Yeah.
they started commenting like, Amen, you know. Please,
Yeah.
like Lord, that's all we can do is call on him
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, he's gonna be the one that has to fix everything that's going on. It's
Yeah.
not something that we can fix ourselves. Um, and then at the same time, we have to know that God allows things to happen so people can see
Hmm.
the necessary as well. Too. So
Yeah.
definitely, I'm glad we finally was able to have you on the show because
Yes.
the devil was working
He was.
behind the
He
scenes.
really
He was
was.
working.
Yes, but
He was
he. I
working.
mean, I don't know why he be messing with me. He should already know who I am. Come on, bro. You already know who I am. Come on, man. Like, give it up, dude. I'm not. No, I had. I was sick when me and you talked the last time. I was sick, and I did a couple
Yeah,
other interviews. I was sick. I even had to have my camera off. I was so sick and looked horrible, but I was determined. I
yeah,
was determined. You know.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. And that's what's gonna make him mad because you keep pushing regardless. You
Yeah.
keep pushing through everything. And like you say, he ought to know by now. You're not gonna stop. You're not gonna give up. You're gonna keep
Mm-mm.
pushing. You're gonna keep making it happen.
Yep.
So, he's just gonna get mad, but he'll be okay. You
He'll
know,
be fine.
he will not have the
We need to go
victory.
back to the pits of hell which he came. Goodbye.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep. Goodbye.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I know you probably have some other things to do tonight. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for being my guest and coming on. Um,
Thank you.
I look forward to having you on again in the future to, help uplift and inspire our audience again as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you so much. And you have a great night
You too.
and you stay safe and you stay healthy so
Thank you.
that
Thank you.
the devil can continue to be mad. We're gonna
Thank
continue to
you.
make him mad.
And I just
All
want to
right, and
say one more
we're
thing.
gonna make
I want
sure
to
that we
say
get your information in we're gonna make sure we get your information in the chat part of the live as
absolutely.
well.
Absolutely. I just want to say one thing before I leave. You guys go heal and be great.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Healing is great. Um, I think that's something that you say on your show all the time too,
Hmm.
as well.
Go heal and be
So,
great.
so y'all have had the tea with Miss Tia Tillman, and it has been a great pleasure to have you on our show. And I look forward to all the wonderful things that you have to come and all the wonderful things that you're gonna do
Thank you.
moving forward. So
Thank you.
I'm glad to be in the presence of you. I'm glad to know that I know you, and
Thank
we
you.
will continue to help uplift each other.
Thank you. Same here. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. And you have a great night
You too.
and get some rest. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
All right, y'all have seen and heard from Miss Tia Tillman. Her stories are so inspirational, and there's so many of them that um have been in place, and I'm just so grateful to be able to be in her presence. I'm so grateful to know her and to know the things that she has done and has had the opportunity to do and the people that she's helping. We want to continue to support her. We want to continue to follow her on her platforms. Healing is power. Catch her on whatever platform it is that you relate to the most, but make sure that you connect, make sure that you follow her and um, show her that you support what she's doing. Help her on the journey that she's on because it's beautiful what she's doing. And I'm grateful to know somebody that is actually trying to help people heal because it is so needed right now. Each and every day, you hear about tragedy, you hear about trauma, you hear about negative things going on. But at some given time, everybody that's been affected by these things has to heal. And a platform like Tia platform is amazing. So if you have been through anything and you have a story to tell and you want people to know how good your journey was and how grateful you are to God for the journey that He brought you through and you overcame these obstacles that you went through. Connect with Tia. We're going to make sure that her information is in this chat under this live so that you can connect with her and tell your story and help somebody else heal from your story. So, Tia, once again, I want to say thank you for being my guest tonight. It has been a wonderful pleasure. And as always, I'm going to tell you your voice is important. Speak loudly. You heard it from your girl, Nicole. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I'll see you all on Thursday. Bye bye.